Take two. Let's try that again. Okay, so Boyd, are you there?
Hey,
Here we,
there we are.
here we go.
Sorry
The
about
man
that,
of
guys.
the moment, we got you.
Sorry about that. My computer was freezing, so let me just get my headphones. Oh. Hey, hey, hey.
Here we go. We have
Here we
got you.
go.
For a minute there, I thought I'd messed it all up and Facebook was not going to work for me.
No, the computer was just thinking. So that's an analogy for life. Don't overthink it. Just go.
I like that one. How you doing, Boyd? You good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
How's the weather in Canada today? Nice out there?
The weather, yeah, it's a bit chilly, but not gonna complain. We had a pretty difficult winter, so it's
You get some serious weather out there. I remember
we
them
we
pictures you showed me a couple of months back of snow like 7 foot high.
7 feet high.
And
Yeah.
it's absolutely mental. Okay, great. Well, we're glad we got you connected. So
Thank you.
let's get let's get started with you then. So just going to go through some questions with you, and obviously just fire your answers at us and give us the lowdown on what you feel.
All
So the
right.
first thing I'd like to ask you, that I've got noted down, is just for you to give us some background on who you are, Boyd.
So, um, we're in Canada, obviously. Um, Married with 3 kids. In 2011, I was diagnosed with blood cancer, and it was a really serious diagnosis, acute myeloid leukemia. Um, had it twice in 8 months, and May 3rd, 2012, I had a life-saving stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor, and it turns out that his name was Nathan Barnes, and he was an American naval serviceman who was in Japan when he saved my life. The U.S. Navy paid to fly him to America to get his stem cells to save my life. So it's a special story. There's not many other people that can say they've been through that. It feels weird. It feels kind of out of body. The before and after pictures are quite significant. I guess the biggest challenge that took place after the transplant was traumatic brain injury from chemotherapy and spinal cord trauma. And in spite of all those things, in 2013, a friend took me and my son to Alaska and ran a marathon for me. It changed my life. And, it's kind of one of those things that to be able to do this with disabilities was quite special. I was able to start running marathons. I ran 7 marathons in 7 years. And honestly, though, the most ironic part was I was really, really skeptical about any sort of health and nutrition products whatsoever. And one of the reasons why for me was I had actually used Herbalife back in the 90s. Thought the products were great. I didn't like the pressure that came from, people telling you to use shakes and all that other stuff, and it just wasn't the best experience. So I was just kind of determined that I was never going to do that again. But I find in life, if you say you're never going to do something, you tend to get to do it later. But um, I guess the other side note was, at the time, my view of Herbalife was that it was a company that was just for weight loss and um, not for necessarily health and nutrition. So I'll put a pause in the background so we can have a two-way dialogue and I don't just talk away. So
Brilliant. So can you tell us a little bit more about since what come from? I mean, it was 10 years ago, wasn't it? Just the other day that you
yeah,
celebrated being free of cancer. Was that right, or was it 10 years to the day that you had
10 years to the day for the stem cell transplant. You have to
stem cell
be
transplant?
in remission to do the stem cell transplant. And so sadly, I've lost friends that weren't able to get the cancer into remission to do the stem cell transplant. So the transplant was horrible. That was really, really, really challenging and really difficult. And to have been able to go through that and then run marathons is kind of wild. Just ran Boston Marathon again, and run it 4 times in person, and then last fall, because of COVID, they had it virtually. So I found a marathon here in Canada to do the same day. And you know, if Boston says I've run it 5 times, and I've run it 5 times, I mean, I'm not gonna argue with them. But I've also run Chicago, New York, and Disney twice, and then 2 marathons here in Canada. So marathons are 42.2 kilometers or 26.2 miles, and they are a lot of work. The training is the hardest part, right? Getting to a marathon injury free is like the biggest motivating factor for any runner to try and get there and not be hurt. So
to get there from being a blood cancer survivor, and I believe the doctors, they gave you quite a limited chance of survival from it.
yeah, they said I had a 30% chance of living to 5 years. So on my 5-year anniversary, I ran the Boston Marathon for a second time. Had a 25-minute personal best that day. Beat people that said I would never go. You know, it was one of the top athletes with disabilities that year. I think it was in the top 3. It was an amazing moment, but I also know how difficult marathon running can be. And let me see if I've got the magazine. Yeah, here it is.
While
Here
you're
it is.
looking for that, that's
Hold on. Let me see if I got it. There it is. I'm in their
oh,
magazine.
got it.
That's me.
You're in the magazine there.
I'm in their
Maybe on
athletes with
the end.
disabilities. Yeah, it was epic.
Got
It
in
was
the
pretty
actual
it was pretty
magazine.
special. It's pretty special. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. But
That's fantastic. And I think I just want to touch on that as well, Boyd. You mentioned about the people who don't necessarily run, a lot of people who don't run marathons, or who are just short distance runners, or just new to running. I think a lot of people look at marathons as quite challenging, which, yes, it definitely is. Whether you run it or walk it, it's a long way. And then obviously to overcome blood cancer or any sort of cancer, or any kind of chronic illness like that, I mean, just the mindset alone that I'm now going to run 26 miles is it's an incredible challenge after mentally, not just physically, but mentally beating cancer. So how was it that you kind of turned around your own mindset? I mean, obviously, one thing I do love about what you say is that you always tell me that someone told you can do it.
yeah.
And that was like, you were like, right, I am not having that.
All
I'm
right.
doing it. What actually got you going to be like, I'm going to run a blinking marathon?
Well, I mean, you know, I talk about the people that say I can't, but far more importantly also is being around people that say you can do it. And so, you know, I had a lot of people supporting me. The run community was pretty good, but you know, whenever somebody comes at me and says you're not doing this, that's when I just turn around and say thanks, but no thanks. I mean, the doctors time and time again said I wasn't going to live the year, wasn't going to live to 5 years. The long-term prognosis was horrible. And you know what motivated me was to be here for my family, to be here for my kids. I mean, one of the things that we also did is we went to Disney like 8 times in 9 years, and so to have a goal to go to Florida just gave us something to do other than ongoing medical and doctor's appointments. And you know, it's a good tie-in, running or any sort of physical fitness, to facing something that's life-threatening, because you have to dig in and you have to be determined and you have to want to push through. And I've also said that being ticked off at people only gets you so far, but having people that believe in you and love you and are cheering for you can get you miles further. And so, you know, um, it's also a mindset though, right? Like this year was the first year that I brought a Canadian guy with me to Boston, because he's a great friendly guy. But like the 3 years that I went, I brought Americans with me because I just thought their attitude and their mindset was was awesome. Kind of a cowboy, let's get this done mindset. And I mean, you're in England, so it's a bit different, but I wanted to be around people that said I can do and didn't want to listen to what people said I couldn't do. So that was a big, big thing. And my mother-in-law said, yeah, I'm probably the most determined person she's ever met. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you have to show up and you have to be consistent and you have to do the work. So whatever it is that you're kind of setting goals with, it's great to say that you're going to run a marathon, but it's another thing to do the work, to put in the training, and to run the kilometers or the miles to get there. So
It's amazing, and I absolutely love the way that going through cancer, as we said, it can be mentally draining. So I absolutely love the way you found motivation to not only get over it, but to do something on the complete opposite end of the scale and run, not just run one, but since then you've run multiple marathons, and you've obviously fallen in love with Disney as well.
we have
Saying you've
look
been
at look
three
at the
times
look
in
at the
nine
sign.
years.
It's like our name. It's like our last name. I don't really.
Was
Uh,
Disney always something that you were a fan of before, or
yeah, we got our magazine. Um, I watched Disney
was it
as a
that you fell
kid,
in
and
love with Disney?
we went in 2008 when our son was little and my wife was pregnant with our second boy. But the community did like a Make-A-Wish thing for our family, and so we went to Disney. And to go back 3 years later and run the marathon, that was a bit of a mic drop moment. It's
Wow.
like when I had cancer, that was my first marathon. That was January 11th, 2015. That was an amazing moment. I spoke on stage before 20,000 people. Here's the medal,
Wow.
Peter. That's the medal.
Wow, look at that. That's a lovely old medal, that,
Shiny
isn't it?
marathon medal with Mickey Mouse. And it was one of those moments like people's response was incredible. But it was interesting too because I also had people that pushed me, right? Like you eat like garbage and you're slow and out of shape. So get better, get better. And really interesting though was I was really skeptical about health and nutrition for
Hmm.
like 7 years. So, do you want to talk about the whole Herbalife thing or?
Yeah, we can go into that now. So
Yeah,
we know
let's go
we're
into
going to go
that.
into that eventually, so we can bring that up now.
Sure. So it was
So
really
yeah,
interesting.
tell us. I mean, firstly, I just want to say that for those who are watching, I know that you also did it in the 90s, and as you touched on earlier, you were in it in the 90s, and I know you said that you obviously left in the 90s. Then when we connected a couple of years back, you were obviously very skeptical about the whole thing, and as you said, despite what you went through, you also had a lot of skepticism around just taking supplements and general the health and well-being industry.
It
Is that
was
right?
um it was discouraging. The biggest discouragement was to see people quit. It was
Hmm.
really discouraging. So maybe I just didn't have the mental fortitude. I had these people that were going to lose 30 pounds, they're going to lose 50 pounds, they're going to lose 80 pounds, and they quit. They quit after like 2 months. And so, you know, to be determined to help people get from A to B was a big thing. But it actually started for me in 2018 with I had a foot injury running called plantar fasciitis, and anybody that knows about that, it sucks and it drags on for months. And twice in 2 years, left foot and then the right foot, and it took a
Wow.
really long time to recover. And it was really interesting. It was a friend named Mike who said, you need to try like supplements like L-glutamine and creatine and things like that. And I noticed that once I started taking just supplements from like Amazon, which were okay, but not the best, Um,
Yeah.
I didn't have injuries anymore. And so it was interesting. I was on Instagram, and, it was the middle of COVID. It was summer of 2020. Most people's lives were just frustrating, or people were fat and tired. And the biggest thing for me, I think, was I just remember coming home from a run and just being tired. And, when you're a marathon runner, you're tired. When you live with the long-term side effects of chemotherapy, you're tired. And I saw you post something on Instagram, just your A to B from fat to fit, right? Like you lost about 50 pounds, somewhere around
Yeah.
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
it was wild. I was just so mistrusting of the whole thing to, you know, but we ordered some products and we signed up, and I didn't really need to lose a lot, but I was able to do it. I lost like the last 10 pounds in 6 weeks, but I didn't even really participate in any of your challenges. It was my buddy Mike that we checked with every day, and you've seen him. He's a beast, right? Like he can just cut weight like crazy. And um, my wife said, "Well, what about our son Steven? Because he was underweight. He was 14 or 15 at the time. He had a
Yeah.
thyroid condition. He was short. He just whatever." And so what we did was, oh, and another side note is when I was in the hospital, they gave me meal replacement shakes like Ensure, and they were garbage. They tasted horrible, and they did nothing. So that's a huge
Hospital don't
reason
taste
that
horrible.
they're horrible, and they're loaded with sugar, right? They're just so nasty. And so that was a reason
Unbelievable.
that I was really skeptical. But anyways, so we added the Formula One to his food, and instead of him losing weight, he gained 20 pounds in like 4 months. He grew like 4 or 5 inches. He actually, for the first time in his entire life, um, he got to the right height, the right weight. I was just adding nutrition to his diet. And so that was a real eye opener for me that Herbalife is not about losing weight. It's about getting proper nutrition into your body. And if you're an athlete, your body will perform better. If you're out of shape, newsflash, your body's going to melt off the calories. And you don't have to be a marathon runner to be in better shape. You don't have to be a marathon runner to be in better health. Just let your body kind of come to perform at the way that it's at. And so um, that was a huge eye opener for me. And I've run 3 marathons. Well, I mean, it was the middle of COVID, right? So, oh, actually, the highlight for me was, remember when I said to Jack, "Hey, I'm going to run 12 half marathons in 12 days at Christmas." So there's nothing a race. It's just on a treadmill, and that was wild. And I did it. The
I
the
don't know
products
anybody who runs 12 half marathons in
in
12
12
days
days
in
on
the
a
middle of a
treadmill,
run streak.
and on a treadmill, yeah, in the middle of a 150-day run streak. So that was really quite amazing. The recovery was incredible, and I think it was day 3 or 4 that I really noticed that my body was recovering. And the thing too is some of the most elite athletes in the world are taking in supplementation. And like a simple thing, if we want the caffeine from coffee, we don't eat a coffee bean. We have it ground down and filtered. And so that's kind of like how I see the Herbalife products. I met Mark Hughes in 1996, and his vision for Herbalife was, um, his mom had died, taking diet pills. It was so sad. She wanted to lose 20 pounds. And so to get proper nutrition into people's bodies will respond and recover. And so that's an amazing thing. What was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, I've run 3 marathons since then. It's the recovery time that has been the biggest thing. I mean, one of the things that can happen when you're a marathon runner, if you blow a toenail, you're kind of toast. I mean, you know, I lost
Hurts.
I lost several toenails at Boston, and
Yeah.
it's just nasty. You that's a sign that you need to take a break and let your body recover. So, but but you know, the other thing too, I guess, that I should also help clarify is, um, I'm the voice and the public speaker that, this is my wife's business, right? So my wife is not on social media, she's not on Facebook, but I'll be the person sort of cheering for myself and cheering others on. And
So your wife basically owns the business, and she and you.
right.
She's basically. I'm guessing that from what you've said to me, I mean, I've never actually met your wife,
Yeah.
but from the time that I've known you, my understanding is that your wife is and your mum as well, both very supportive people of you, and you get
100%.
a lot of support and love from your family.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't
Amazing.
you can't run 10 marathons in 10 years with kids that are anywhere between, 1 year old or 2 years old and 6 or 7,
Mm.
all the way up to teenagers without having supportive family, right? And it was really neat too. 3 weeks ago, I took my mom with me to Boston, and she got one of these hats too. Right? So 3 different people asked her if she was running the
I
Boston
remember seeing
Marathon.
some of the pictures of you and your mum. It looked like you were
Yeah,
both having an amazing time that
yeah,
day.
it was ridiculous. Like, why is this just 75 years old on a walker? But 3 different people asked her if she was a marathon runner, so that was hilarious. But anyways, I guess the thing that brings me the biggest joy though is, seeing people succeed. I had coached people for free since 2016. I started a Facebook group called "My Thyroid Didn't Eat That Big Mac." You get the idea, right? Everybody blames their thyroid why they're so big, but they didn't eat the Big Mac, right? They ate the Big Mac.
Yeah.
And so, you know, um, I can honestly, like, one of the things that happened during COVID, a year ago, we moved from Ontario to Moncton, New Brunswick. So that's like 1,700 kilometers east. That's 1,100 miles east. Where would you be east of England? Like somewhere in Poland or something? Germany? It's a
A
huge
long
move,
way.
right?
It's a long way.
It's a
It's
long
a long,
way. It's
long
a
way,
long
isn't
way.
it?
And so,
And I don't think when you live in England, you actually realise how big Canada is. But
yeah, it's
you know,
like
like just
5,000 kilometers. You could go, it's bigger than Russia.
you could just fit England like a small part of Canada.
Yeah. Actually, no, I think Russia's the biggest country. Anyways, it's significant,
It's a
but
long way.
long way.
A long way to travel.
So anyways, my mom, she's lost 40 pounds. We have several friends that we've helped. Um, Sean has been very public about it. 30 pounds. That's a small child. That's wild. Um,
And Shauna, just to clarify for the people who don't know, Shauna's one of your friends
Sean
as
and I
well as
have
a
been
customer.
friends. She was my pharmacist. when I
Okay,
when I was
that's
going
right.
through cancer treatments. We have been friends for 8, 9 years. I've been one of her cheerleaders for 8, 9 years, but
Right.
she needed something to help her get over the hump.
Yeah,
She needed something to
yeah,
help her get from A to B because, just going for a run, I've seen that with people, right? People got motivated, and I can think of like 12 to 14 different people that started running because of my story, and then they run and they get injured, and running is really hard. And they're battling injuries, and their body's breaking down because, they're running in their 30s or 40s, and they're obese or they're not in shape. And so you have to have an ability to recover from the runs and from the running. And I know you were working through a
100%.
bit of a running injury yourself, right? And
Mm.
you can be in the best shape of your life and be taking some of the best supplements in the world and still have injuries.
Open to it all.
Yeah. So
And
and that's the other thing that I was gonna say, like, some of the best athletes in the world take supplements, but Herbalife is literally the global leader in health and wellness.
mm,
Right? There's sports
absolutely,
athletes and sports teams that take these products. So who am I to think that I don't need it?
absolutely, completely agree. Completely agree. Including one of my favourites is Heather Jackson,
Yeah, of
um,
course, she's a beast.
Ironman winner.
Yeah,
Incredible.
yeah. She wins Ironmans taking the Herbalife 24 sports lineup. So I take the recovery, the build, the night one, the CR7. I mean, like I feel like the happy old man that takes like 17 different pills and shakes every single day. So I take like 10 different vitamins, and I take, 5 different types of shakes throughout the day. Like my breakfast shake is the Formula One, the protein drink mix, the Herbalife 24, I think it's the Prepare, and then I mix in the skin collagen.
That's one of the products you got in Canada, isn't it? Which I believe is a pre-workout.
Yeah. It's a pre-workout thing. It doesn't
Want
give
to
you
clarify?
it doesn't give you the pop like the lift off or the total control, right? That just gives you an energy boost. But it's the building blocks for being healthy. One of my other favorite stories is a good friend of mine in Toronto. Like I've been friends with him for 20 years. He's my best friend, and during the middle of COVID, he changed his life and bought like a bike trainer and quickly lost like 30 pounds. But I called him up and I said, Jeff, listen, this isn't for losing weight for you. This is about sustaining and whatever. And so he's in his 40s now. He's in the best shape of his life. He was able to lose, the last 10 pounds. He's spinning and training every single day. And I saw on Strava, which is a running app, the other day, that he did a bike ride at the same intensity of a friend of mine that I knew in Ontario named Mike Cook, who's like an elite athlete. I'm like, you just did a 30-minute spin class at the same intensity as this guy. He's like, wow. So, helping friends and family, it's not that hard.
That's it. And I just want to touch on a couple of things you said there as well. Firstly, what I love that you said earlier is your mum, you helped her lose some weight. Sean, as a friend of yours, I know you've got other friends who you help with through Herbalife as your customers as well. And I think that's a really important thing to talk about is it's that support of friends and family that comes first. A lot of people I've spoken to say, oh, I could never do sales. But Boyd, have you ever pitched
No,
anybody with a sales pitch?
I hate sales.
You and me both.
I hate sales and I
I
hate
think
salespeople. I just talk about my story. And it's a
I think
really,
that's a really important thing to note as well. And if
well, I've
friends
got
and family,
I've got an epic story, so it's not that hard. But I've
you
been
have, it's pretty epic.
I've been doing the one thing that I learned about Herbalife in the 90s is just tell stories. Tell stories. And so I've been telling stories for, oh gosh, what are we coming up on? 25 years. And so
Getting paid to
yeah,
tell people
that's all you
stories.
have to do, right? Like it wasn't that hard to talk about you and talk about Jack, right? Like when I didn't have my own testimonial, I just talked about you and I talked about Jack, and then Jack freaking Williams, that guy's an easy, it's easy. Look at that guy, he looks good. So
It's pretty good shape.
he's in pretty good shape. And so anyways, just find somebody else's story and get excited about it. Enthusiasm is free. And this is the biggest thing that people said about me. I ran for 2 years and I sucked, but I never lacked enthusiasm. The entire time I've been running for 9 years now, and enthusiasm's free. You can get excited for people, and it's not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody. If people aren't interested, just okay. Thanks for your time. See you later.
The other thing I'd like to touch on there as well, which I love what you said, is about the environment. Like just when you were talking about your marathon running and everything else, like you were talking about your family there, like your wife and your mum. And I think that's a really important thing to know, whether you're a runner, whether you're looking for weight loss, no matter what you want in life, the environment is, what I like to say is environment is stronger than will, because having that supportive environment is a lot stronger than any willpower any of us have ever got. You think
Absolutely.
that's
But also, you need to build groups that have tasks. So I put together a Facebook group for this year's Boston, and they were just my support crew, and just yeah, I did a run, yeah. It was an environment that was focused on a specific task. And so one of the things that's important is, I think these free 10-day challenges are way better than the 21-day challenges, just because it's attainable. It's attainable,
Yeah.
right? You know, what's the point? What's the point in spending money on a challenge and you don't even finish it? There, oh,
Absolutely.
Malcolm Bryant, there he is.
There
What
he
a
is.
guy. You know, every time I think,
The other
oh,
running machine.
every time I think that, oh, there's a story of somebody doing amazing, another guy comes along and that's Malcolm. Like, just brilliant,
I love the
pal.
stories.
Yeah.
Love the stories.
But you know, it's for people that are athletes or want to be athletes, it's a recovery that is far more important than necessarily losing weight. I mean, how many of these challenges have I done with you? About three now, four?
Yeah, we've definitely done a handful, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I've lost maybe a pound and a half. You know what I'm saying? I don't really need to lose a lot of weight. And when you're training for a marathon, you need the nutrition. You're not trying to drop 15 pounds. Your body would fall apart.
I think you're a great example of that because what we like to do in our 10-day focus groups, we just kind of have a fantastic environment. So it doesn't matter what anybody wants, whether it's health and wellness, weight gain, weight loss, sports performance, anything. We just have fun, don't we? And there's no cost, there's no negativity.
No, it's
It's all
wild. And
about the
then, you know,
support and
like
the
to
environment.
to see people posting running photos is awesome. You know, like my buddy Mike, what, 6 pounds in a week? That was like, what the heck? You know, I don't mind living vicariously through other people. Like to see Shauna get back at it and lose 30 pounds over a period of months is that's just wild. That's just wild. That is
That
like,
is
how much does that cost? That costs nothing, right? And the other thing that's interesting
nothing.
too is
Dedication,
this is the first
passion.
this is the first time in almost 2 years that like you and I have found a way to make it work with you being on the other side of the pond, right?
Hmm.
Because these things, you know, it's like, oh, I don't think anybody thought that. The other thing that was interesting is I was approved to run the London, England in 2020, or the London, England Marathon, sorry, in 2020, but then obviously COVID happened and all that other stuff. And, you know, I keep applying every year, and one of these years it's going to come together. But, yeah, anyways, all that to
1 year
say,
you get accepted, the blinking pandemic happens.
everyone's got a plan to get punched in the mouth, right? So, but
That's it, Mike Tyson.
yeah, Mike Tyson,
So,
right? But anyways, you know, enthusiasm's free, being around positive people is free. And the other thing too
mm,
is when you're in a positive environment and you're participating in positive things, you tend to get past yourself, right? Because we all have these moments where we're stuck in our own whatever, stuck in our own depression, stuck in our own selfishness, stuck in our own fear, anxiety, worry, whatever. And that was the biggest thing. I think one of the biggest things that kept me alive when I had cancer was to go pray with and support other people.
yeah,
And yeah, you know, it's instead of just focusing on the people that didn't make it, I can talk about my friend Mike, who's been alive for 10 years, and my friend Brandy, she's still alive. And you know, it's there are people that are still alive. I'm not the sole reason. Obviously, doctors, science, medicine, people praying for them is the main reason. But to celebrate with people that are still alive all these years later is pretty special. So
always looking at that positive side of things. I love that. And also, Boyd, I know that as well as obviously being really passionate for helping people with change in their health and nutrition, you also do a lot of work for cancer as well, don't you?
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I
Do a lot of speaking.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I've done a bunch of podcasts in the last little bit, and I've got another one this afternoon. And then the online community with the Zoom meetings. I've got one that's first or second Tuesday of every month, and then the other one is every other Thursday. And you know, I dedicated that Boston Marathon to people affected by cancer. So that was pretty epic, right? Like there's all these people that I dedicated to, but it's hard. It's hard to see other people suffering. Um, just in the past week, the founder of Grit Health, his name's David, his wife or partner died of cancer. Just this week, my friend Lauren, her mom was moved into palliative care, and two friends in Ontario found that their cancer's come back. It's really, really hard. It's hard. I'm not like, you know, I see people doing well in health and yay, losing weight. That's fun. That's easy. But it's hard to see people suffering. And so you know. I don't quit because it's hard. It's just hard.
So a lot of the work you do with
Yeah, it's all
the
this is
cancer
all this
group.
is all free. This is all me volunteering. I don't work, right? I'm permanently medically disabled,
Mm.
so what can you do?
But yeah,
That
I
that
mean,
that
when I
that
say
plaque
work, I
right
don't
there,
mean financially.
that's from public
Yeah.
speaking for the Canadian Cancer Society. I won an award for public speaking.
So a lot of
I've
the
spoke.
stuff you do is
It's all free.
motivational. Is
It's
that
yeah, I
correct?
guess so. I guess so. I remember I went for a run here last fall in New Brunswick, and the guy goes, "Are you an influencer?" I'm like, "I don't know what that is, but I've got 10,000 people that follow me, so I guess so." But I mean, more importantly, is having a family that is healthy and family that loves me. But yeah, from blood cancer to Boston, it's a pretty good Instagram thing and Facebook page. So, but
Sums you up pretty
it's
well.
one thing to inspire people, but it's not much different than sports, right? Like, oh, I watch a hockey game or I watch a soccer game, and isn't life great? And you just go on with your life. But it's another thing to see people want to make change in their own life. That is the biggest inspiration for me. See people want to make change in their own life and actually succeed in it. So
I think
so
that's something that's deep rooted in you, isn't it, as well, to see people change based on your own changes,
based
what
on
you've
based on the fact
overcome
that
in life.
people believed in me, right? So
Mm,
I I,
want to
I
give
was
that
a
back
I
to
was a
people.
37-year-old slightly overweight mortgage broker who liked golfing and thought that golfing twice a week was a workout. It was a size 38 pant. I was like,
Look at you now.
oh,
Amazing. Amazing. So it's
hard work pays
come
off,
so
right?
far.
People cut
Come so
corners.
far.
They check in once every 3 weeks. They don't take their shakes. They don't join the groups, and then they're surprised when they have no success.
So just another thing I do want to touch on as well is we talk a lot about products, supplements. One thing that a lot of people, well, some people, wouldn't say a lot of people, but there are still some people out there who do believe we live on shakes. Can you just clarify for me what you eat in a day, roughly? Obviously, I don't want to have a full rundown of the intimate details, but
Well,
do
here's
you
here's
want to
a
share
here's a
with some of
fun
the
here's
foods
a
you eat?
funner way to talk about it, right? So when you've got a family with 3 kids, if you're a total jerk and like having to eat everything healthy all the time, your family hates you, right? So there have been the best part about Herbalife isn't, hey, I eat like a salad and I feel like Thor, right? Like his mom said to him, have a salad. It's that you can occasionally take your kids to McDonald's or get a pizza and on the shakes, you're getting your daily nutrition because I've done it in the past, like say 2015, 2016, where it's your kid's birthday, so you're eating cake and you're eating like garbage, and then you try going for a run and oh my gosh, it hurts so much. And so I don't eat like garbage, right? We eat. I try to add a lot of fruit to what I eat. I'm not very good at vegetables, but garbage in, garbage out. And I guess the biggest thing, this banana doesn't look that great, but I'll have that. I'll have that in a bit. But the biggest thing is um, cutting down on late night snacking, cutting down on the chips, cutting down on the garbage, and your body performs. So, no, we don't live on shakes. Because of my ongoing health issues and my horrible health history, I take a lot of stuff, but I don't expect the average person to. No, you don't live on shakes. I mean,
So
the real eye opener for me was like you did all this stuff and you lost weight, and then you had a huge Papa John's pizza. I'm like, oh man. Do you remember that?
I had one last week actually as well, to be
Yeah, yeah,
honest.
yeah, yeah. You're not. It's just. It's most people eat horribly or don't whatever or put in no effort working out, and they don't add any nutrition to their whatever throughout the week. It's literally garbage in, garbage out. Like yesterday, we spent the day running around trying to get my son a passport, his passport renewed. Long story, I shared about it on Instagram. But by the time we were done, it's like 2 in the afternoon, 1:30, and we had to be back here. It was like an hour drive. So we got some fish and chips to go. Those were the greasiest fish and chips I have had, and but it was good. It was just greasy
They were
and,
good, though,
and
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I I had the belly buster shake last night because Didn't need
Get
those.
that extra fibre
Yeah,
in.
those the grease sitting in my gut. But no, we
It
don't
does
live
make
off
all
of.
the difference as well, doesn't it? That extra bit of fibre in the old
Yeah.
belly buster, as we call it,
Well, the other thing
makes
too.
all
The
the
other thing
difference.
for me was this is an interesting note. Might want to write this down. Because I have a spinal cord injury in my L5, L4 or 5. Like I just had an MRI last week. I still have spinal cord trauma there. I got the results of an MRI on Monday. I still have spinal cord trauma. And so in the past, if you go for a run and you're out for a long run and you might have to suddenly go to the bathroom,
Mm.
that's horrible. It's a
Yeah.
horrible experience that runners have experienced. And so, just being able to go to the bathroom regularly and not have to worry about that. I know the aloe, right? The aloe and the fiber.
It
The
really
Herbalife
helps with
aloe
the
is
distance
it's
system, doesn't it?
incredible because it heals. Like this might not look like anything special. This is 98% water with a thing of aloe and just a taste of apple juice. And I'm sipping on that all day long because, I want my gut to be healthy. So,
So important. I can imagine after all you've been through and with the
right.
tablets that you must have to take, that having that healthy gut and healthy digestive system is probably some kind of blessing that most people really would just take for granted.
Yeah. Well, marathon runners know that you can get the runs during a long run. During a marathon like that's a nightmare. Like I ran
So I've been
seven
there, yeah.
marathon. I raced 7 marathons without having Herbalife. And it's like at the end you're just destroyed and like literally after running the Boston Marathon we're in the tent, the guy's, how can I help you? And I had the cup and I said, oh, just mix this in with water. It's a sample pack of Formula One on the go with protein drink mix. I wasn't trying to recruit the guy for Herbalife. I was just like, look, just make me this. And my legs weren't just like I didn't die. Like I saw this guy come in after running the Boston Marathon and he's like this and he just tipped over, his legs didn't even bend and took a lady down with him and like one of those folding tables and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, just give me my meal replacement, my Formula One shake because I was trying that
Wow.
Boston.
Give me that good stuff. Let me get that good stuff in
Give me
me.
that good stuff because having a beer and a burger is yeah, that's not it's
Oh,
not that's not recovery. That's not recovering with the nutrition. So
yeah, I'm
anything else
absolutely the
that
same
we
when
didn't
everything
talk
comes
about?
on.
Anything else that
Last
we
thing I
missed?
wanted to check in with you on was just where, do you want to drop down some of the places people can find you? Any podcast links, anything like that that you want to share
Yeah.
that
I can put it in
people
the
can
notes.
follow you on?
From blood cancer to
If you send me the
Boston.
links, I'll put them in the comments as well.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram. Like my biggest passion is helping people. Helping people in the cancer community is huge. And they're not necessarily interested in talking about health and nutrition, like supplements. They're just trying to live. And I get it. That was my mindset too. I had friends in 2011, you should eat better. And I'm like, I'm just trying to survive. The food in the hospital is horrible. So I got myself a Big Mac.
You're not thinking
That's
about
what
the
I did.
greens,
I wasn't like, oh, I should eat healthy because I'm trying to live. I was just trying to live.
just try to live.
Just trying to live.
You're in survival mode, basically, aren't you?
I ate an entire Domino's pepperoni pizza one time. Just bought it and ate it on the way home. It was a large. I was just trying to survive, right?
Just got, yeah, I could totally,
Yeah. And
totally
not
get what you're
everybody,
saying.
not everybody that goes through cancer loses weight. I gained like 30 pounds because of the medication. So,
Is there any specific podcast or anything else you'd like to mention, or you'd like me to put a link in the comments for people to follow you on or catch you on at all?
um, well, the Howling Place, I'll put that link for that one. That's a really good one. It's probably one of the better podcasts that I've done. Is before I got to Boston, and I did it, and then I did like a Facebook Live with those guys in that group. It's for men that have been through cancer or going through cancer. That was a riot. That was a riot. But the interview is pretty good, and just keep trucking away. People like it's just showing up and it's just doing the work. So.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, what we'll do is we'll try and get this up on some kind of video platform. And yeah, Boyd, it's been a real pleasure to interview today, to have a proper chat with you, and enjoy the rest of your day in Canada.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much for your time today, Boyd.
Okay, thanks, Pete.
Speak to you soon, buddy.
Bye bye.